Welcome to my first ever YouTube video all about how to stop procrastinating and start pursuing your dreams. Here's my 5 tips on how to overcome procrastination to pursue your passions. So speaking of the theme, which is progress over perfection, I just completely botched the intro that I wanted to do, but I'm going to keep going because I practice what I preach. And if you're actually seeing this video, that means that I overcame all my procrastination tendencies and actually got this posted, which would mean that I am practicing what I'm preaching. But if you don't see this video, well, I guess then you wouldn't know that I procrastinated. So I guess I would get away with it, but it would still be a shame because I want to get out of the rut I am in and also help others do the same and be able to start pursuing their passions. And I think I forgot to introduce myself. So my name is Lena Gao, and I currently have a corporate job, and I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel, I think, for about 6 or 8 years now, and just never really took the jump. So you probably clicked on my video because you're trying to stop procrastinating from your passion, whether it's pursuing a side hustle or even thinking about quitting your job and going full-time diving into your passion. Here are my 5 tips on how to stop procrastinating. Here are my 5 tips on how to stop procrastinating from your dreams. Number 1, find your motivation and write it down. Finding your motivation for action is really key. You've probably heard the saying that dreams are just goals without an action plan. But how do you even actually get the motivation to write down an action plan? But how do you actually get motivated to take action in the first place? Or what is the impetus for you to actually write down an action plan? You have to figure out your why. The why is what drives everything. Once you have your why, then the how will come. So that saying, when there's a will, there's a way, really does ring true, and I think it really applies here. So the first step is to find your why and to write it down. Really writing it down makes you realize just how many reasons you have, and also you can always refer back to this list and see what your motivations are whenever you're feeling run down or like you don't want to commit to your plan. These reasons why will really hold you accountable and push you forward. I could have easily written down a whole action plan of how to get a YouTube video started, but I would have never actually picked up a pencil or, logged onto my computer to actually type out a plan if I didn't have my why really driving me forward. Here are my examples of the reasons why I got started after maybe 6 or 8 years of procrastinating, which is a really long time. I mean, I wasn't not doing anything with my life. I have a successful career and I was really pursuing other things like family and friends, but I still look back and think, wow, it's already 2020 and I wanted to start a YouTube channel back in 2014. So how did so much time go by and why did I not take any action? So some of the reasons I wrote down, and I won't go through my whole list because it's actually 3 pages because there's just been so much procrastinating. But some of my reasons why are, 1, I just don't want to keep having regrets. I don't want to keep looking back on my life and seeing why in 2013 did I not start a YouTube channel? How come in 2016 I didn't? How come in 2020 I didn't? I really decided that the time is now and I'm going to do it no matter what. I also just have so many ideas that I always wanted to share out into the world, and I always have loved YouTube. So those are really big motivations for me as well, in terms of I just want to get my ideas out there and also help others. So if you're like me and you've had a passion that you've always wanted to pursue, or ideas that you want to get out into the world, or a side hustle that you've always wanted to start, really keep your motivations top of mind by keeping it in sight. So whether it's on your fridge, on your computer, or on your phone in an app that you check every day, keep it top of mind every day so that your goals do not go out of sight and out of mind. Another thing that was so motivating about writing all my motivations down was that I saw how long the list was. It was literally 3 pages of reasons why, and it just made me feel like I had so much more to lose if I didn't get started than, what I had to lose if I got started and things didn't work out. So it really made me just not afraid of getting started anymore, and it made me more afraid of not starting. Speaking of getting started, this brings us to my tip number 2, which is how to get started. So nothing changes if nothing changes. So all you have to do to get started is just change one thing about what you've been doing, which has got you in a rut. So the one thing that I changed at first was, instead of waking up and having the first thing be checking my work email, checking my Slack, seeing what all the to-dos I had to do for work were for the day, I just took 5 minutes to think about what my passion really is. And for me, the one thing I wanted to really do is start my first YouTube channel. So instead of going right into my work email and starting firing off replies, the first thing that I did was just write down one thing I was going to do that day that would get me closer to my goal of starting my YouTube channel. What actually happened is that just by focusing on that one thing, I actually ended up doing a whole list of things every day that was related to that one step. For example, the first day I watched a video about how to get motivated, and that made me motivated to watch a video about how to start your first YouTube channel. That one change that I made on that first day that I decided I was going to get started created a whole list of changes that I didn't even plan. Like now I have time on my calendar blocked after work to really pursue what I'm trying to do with YouTube. So just that one change led to a whole chain of events happening, which led me all the way up to 2 weeks later today, where I'm actually filming a video and putting it on YouTube, which I haven't been able to do for 6 to 8 years. So just making that one change really changed the game for me. So really don't underestimate the power of making one thing different from your day-to-day activity. It will really help you get out of the rut and really get you jump started. I think the pitfall of why I wasn't able to do it previously is I was trying to focus on so many things at once instead of just doing one thing differently that day. Really taking a small bite and not trying to bite off more than I can chew all at once and then getting stuck because I can't solve all the problems in one day. So obviously this is probably not the biggest achievement in the world, putting a YouTube video out there, but for me it really feels like a huge hurdle that I've struggled for years to overcome. And so hopefully this tip will help you just make one change in your day that will help you jumpstart making even bigger changes in your life. So dovetailing off of the theme of not biting off more than you can chew, this brings us to my tip number 3, which is focus on progress over perfection. I think I have a tendency to be a perfectionist, and this has been my biggest hurdle in terms of getting started, especially when it's something that's so close to my heart and it's a passion of mine. I find it even harder to start than just, going through my to-do list at work or, in college when I just needed to get my work done. I struggle on the things that I care about the most, which is why it's so hard to get started on your passion, to be honest. And this is why I feel the easiest thing to procrastinate on is your own passion, because it's really closest to you. So to get over my biggest procrastination hurdle, I really had to focus on progress and not perfection. I'm doing that right now as we speak. I might show the blooper reel of just how many mistakes I've made so far, but I'm just powering through because I know that my ultimate goal is I need to get this video up. I've committed it to myself to get it up today, and nothing's going to stop me. So the biggest key to focusing on progress over perfection is that you have to be constantly problem solving. So for this video, it's actually a really crazy setup that I have right now. It's just my iPhone plugged into a more professional mic, but I had like this whole H4 Zoom equipment and this really fancy camera, and I just couldn't figure it out. I spent probably 3 hours on it, and I was like, okay, this is starting to turn into procrastination by default of just not being able to get this video done. So I'm going to change my plan and problem solve and just use what I know will work. I know my iPhone will record. I know this other microphone I have plugged in will work. I was able to find the cable, and I just was like, I need to get started. So what you saw there was actually my phone almost falling over because of this precarious setup that I have. Again, progress over perfection. But yeah. So the key takeaway is just to make use of what you have and really just think, how can I get to the next minimally viable product, something that will just push me further along than I was the day before. You really just have to commit to that one goal. Once you do bite off something that you can chew, you just have to commit to getting it done, no matter what, really problem solving and pivoting so that you can get to that one step closer to your goal. And this brings up to my tip number 4, which is to keep going and take one step after the other. Keep that momentum going. Tip number 4 is really all about keeping the momentum because you've already done the hardest part, which is getting started. So I'm a bit of a science nerd. I was a neuroscience major in college, and really activation is the hardest part of any chemical reaction. Getting through that action potential and breaking through that first barrier, that inertia. I think it was a law of physics that says things in motion stay in motion. So once you're in motion, do not stagnate and let that stop you. Keep going so you can keep the momentum that you've already built up from taking that first step, all the way back to tip number if it was one or two, of getting started. You already got started, so do not let yourself stop. Again, getting started is really the hardest part. You're literally breaking a habit. So once you've done that, it's so much easier just if you keep going. Like the Nemo movie, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. It's so important. And really, each of your actions will feed into the other. Like for me, I got started. I watched the YouTube videos on how to start a YouTube channel. I started to implement my plan. I wrote out my script, and now I'm filming it, and it just makes me more motivated to actually upload this. I've already put so much effort into what I've done, and why would I not upload it? And this brings up to the best tip of all, is tip number 5, which is reward yourself. It's so important, no matter how small the steps you've taken, to give yourself a pat on the back, even if it's like a word of encouragement or a note to yourself saying, great job, Lena, like you actually got it done. Really feeding into this positive loop will help you build the momentum to keep going forward. Our brains are wired for dopamine, and there's no reason why you can't give yourself a little positive boost after you've done something that makes you feel really accomplished. Like for me right now, I'm actually so happy that I'm getting this video done, even with all of its imperfections, and I'm going to reward myself with buying a ring light that I've wanted, and it'll actually help my future videos. Tip number 5 is so important, to really just be able to give a moment to yourself to bask in the glow of feeling that accomplishment. It will really motivate your brain to gravitate towards your passion and not have these negative feelings towards it of procrastination, and really turn the tide around to be a positive cycle that generates more positive steps for you. I can't even tell you how close this video came to not being done today, all the way from not having the right equipment set up to it was raining outside and I was planning on doing the video outside, so that didn't work out. I think through using all of the tips, all the way from tip number 1 to just remembering all of my motivations and why I want to do this and why I don't want to keep regretting not getting started, and to just getting started, like getting the most minimally viable product, which is literally just setting this up on my iPhone and hooking it up to the microphone that I knew how to use. That really just helped me get started. And then again, keeping up that momentum, having this footage now is going to motivate me to upload it and actually create the video. And then I am going to reward myself. So thank you for watching my 5 tips on how to cure procrastination and start pursuing your passions. So comment below, let me know what passions you're pursuing, which of the tips you find that are helpful. Let me know where you're getting stuck so I can maybe come up with some tips in my next video, and I hope to see you soon. Hi, it's Lena here. Thank you so much for visiting my channel and checking out my content. If you enjoyed today's video, please comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're updated every time that I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day. Keep on thriving.